example, you need to have a source like this to illuminate an object. You need to have a source like this to illuminate an object. So the reflected light is basically passed through a kind of a small camera system. This is sometimes called as a pinhole camera, and it is passed through, and an image is formed on the, for example, screen, or for example, image plane. You will have number of sensors here. So these sensors, depending upon the amount of light that falls onto it, they will produce some kind of a voltage that we call it as the intensity. So intensity, depending upon the reflection, the intensity keep changing. For example, if it's a smooth object, smooth region, for example, the reflection is high, then you will have a more intensity. If the reflection is low, from here, this is a less intensity. So basically what happens is this camera is basically converts this, um, converts this intensity of light into an image. For example, in general, there is a model to capture an image. I is equal to, for example, this intensity of light. The amount of light that is coming and hitting the object, and this proportional to image is proportional. Image formed is proportional to the light that is actually getting reflected from this source. Okay, so 1-to-1 corresponds to the source to, 1-to-1 corresponds with the position of the image with respect to, for example, the image that is being formed. So essentially, we get because we have these array of sensors, and each sensor is connected to one voltage level, and each one of them producing an output. Now, what you get is something called as a discrete version of this image. So sometimes it's called as the digital version of the image. So digital version of the image is what we are trying to look at it. For example, so this is the image that is formed. For example, if somebody wants to try to approximate it, you must know what is an approximation version of the image. I'll tell you, because approximations are generally hold good in certain scenarios. For example, and kind of a real image and a portion of the real image, which is called as the, for example, a block of the image. One block of the image is shown here. Now, as I told you, that there are within this small sub image, we call it a sub image. We have number of pixels, and each pixel of this size, right? So this is the intensity that is actually falling on the sensor. So amount of the varying intensities are falling. So therefore, there is a change in intensity everywhere. So while you do digitization, for example, you will agree that this digital image is getting approximated. Now, approximation is there everywhere, because we talked about in earlier classes, also in your regular classes, people will teach you, or teachers will taught you something like sampling and quantization, right? Sampling is here. It is exactly we do samples, because it's all about what is happening in this portion of the image, and that is getting reflected onto this. So can you reduce this size of this block so small? If you can go down to this size, or you can go to a very small size, then you are actually sampling at a very high high rate, or it's called spatial sampling.